Welcome to the Autocast, the Automaton broadcast where we inform you about the current Galactic War so far. We would like to begin this episode with a public service announcement on the current status of the Meridian Biohazard Zone. Last week, the terminid infestation of the supercolony reached a population spike worse even than what it had been during the initial peak. With outbreaks across several planets in the former terminid control system and even in planets near the inner core of Super-Earth territory, getting as close as Cirrus, Super-Earth High Command has authorized the use of so-called dark fluid, which was a substance reverse-engineered from old Illuminate technology taken from the First Galactic War. The planned use of such a material is to inject it into the planetary core of Meridia, with the goal of causing the planet to collapse into a black hole, putting a permanent end to the Meridian supercolony. Evidently, this is the rumored anti-terminid superweapon, which had been spoken about in passing by various peripheral members of the Super-Earth scientific community. While we in the collective are less than enthusiastic about the possible long-term galactic consequences of a black hole forming in the umlaut sector, and possible future usage of dark fluid in less noble ways, we agree that Meridia is far beyond the point of repair, and if it takes a black hole to put an end to future threats from the biologically altered terminids that call the planet home, then it is a necessary sacrifice. The galactic stakes of this operation's outcome have inspired almost all groups in the galaxy to do their part for the cause, with Helldiver numbers still suffering from the purges. They had previously stood at roughly 50,000 active divers at a given moment. As of the announcement of the order to finally destroy the supercolony, their numbers have jumped between 80,000 to 100,000 divers as the consistent average, with divers who had previously abandoned the front lines in solidarity with their imprisoned comrades now returning, understanding the dire nature of this task. Even members of the collective have been helping with the destruction of Meridia. Several volunteer groups have taken to entering the tunnels beneath the planet's surface and planting charges, with the hopes of further destabilizing the planet, to be more easily absorbed by the dark fluid. With this announcement on the situation in Meridia given, please wait as we return to the regularly scheduled broadcast. Super-Earth's elite failed a major order around the time episode 13 released, specifically, their morale-building campaign involving killing 3,141,592,653 enemies of Super-Earth. Then they were assigned a new major order, to take Meridia 5 and use our humane Petafactory for their own despicable, greedy desires. With this we had increased our troop production. We will go into greater depth during our summarization of happenings on the collective front and the Super-Earth technology section, but first, more on the terminid front. Having already outlined the situation on Meridia, and vague details regarding the terminid front as a byproduct of activity on Meridia, we will use coverage of this segment to elaborate on the specifics of regions affected, and go into a little more depth. Errata Prime was taken by the terminids following a minor outbreak that occurred roughly after the Petafactory order ended. Shortly after the biological hazard of Meridia released a wave of spores, infecting the planets of Angel's Venture, and during later, Angel's Venture was recaptured by Super-Earth armed forces, but not too long after Fenrir 3 experienced a terminid outbreak. More recently, Heath also experienced a terminid outbreak, then Fenrir 3 fell to the terminids. Around this time, Super-Earth's Operation Enduring Peace began to focus more on Meridia, with Mirage dark fluid testing facility, focusing on a way to weaponize it to deal with this biological hazard. A notable quote in this: all other territorial losses are acceptable, given the context of securing a route to Meridia. Automaton 4 experienced an outbreak not too long after this new operation was announced, and Fenrir 3's outbreak was contained. Soon after, Veld and Cirrus experienced outbreaks, and Automaton 4 fell to the terminids. A while later During was captured by Super-Earth, and the outbreak on Veld was contained, whilst the one on Cirrus could not be contained. However, it was later captured by Super-Earth forces alongside Automaton 4. On the day of the Meridian order, before Phase 2 began, Heath was attacked, leaving their CUF training facilities on the planet in danger. After the initial outbreak on Heath, the path to Meridia was secured, and thus Helldivers were then allowed to deploy onto Meridia, with their goal to inject dark fluid into the planet's crust, which will eventually collapse the planet into a black hole, making anything previously on Meridia, living or not, permanently inaccessible, with a chance for the dark fluide's black hole to grow further than intended, again, with a chance for our entire galaxy to be consumed by it, but so far only Meridia has fallen, with an odd emittance of a purple light around it, possibly due to the dark fluid itself. We managed to take Wesson, further growing into the Emir sector, encircling Vega Bay. Unfortunately, Varillion 5 was stolen from us and enslaved by Super Earth, being forced to produce their sinister war machines, enslaving even their own citizens for it. On a more currently related event, we have assaulted Vega Bay, as was planned and shown in our previous episodes. After we take Vega Bay, X-45 will be encircled and will only take us one of our warp drives to travel there and conquer the entire Emir sector. As more dissident activity increases on average, more worlds are being blocked from enlisting civilians into the SEUF, also partially due to an increase in restrictions of the citizen classification system. These restrictions, as well as prior purges of Helldiver ranks, has led the Helldiver count in active service to be 1/8 of the original count before war was officially declared. We have also intercepted communications regarding the deaths of 11 or 12 researchers on Moradesh, researching dark fluid. The sample of dark fluid they were experimenting with collapsed into a small black hole, which then killed the researchers and expired. It is clear that if Super Earth continues with this experimentation, it is without a doubt possible that our entire galaxy could cease to exist with further usage. Further regarding dark fluid, a dangerous force that Super Earth is toying with, they are designing special injectors. These devices will be used to inject dark fluid into a planet's crust. These injectors were rapidly modified in post-production to emit terminid irritating signals, preventing bug breaches from happening directly under them. This feature was quickly realized to be necessary, in light of just how much the dark fluid agitated terminids. To our knowledge, Super Earth has a limited supply of dark fluid that they are using the majority of on Meridia, with it being solely produced in small quantities on Moradesh. There also appears to be an effort to research jump pack technology incorporating dark fluid, following Helldivers discovering a way to perform a boosted jump using the dark fluid containment vessels that fuel the injectors, by venting excess energy from the bottom of the capsule. This improvised jump pack is incredibly dangerous, and vented energy has been known to nearly instantly kill anything caught in the blast under the user. Allegedly, it is an excruciatingly painful process that involves individual components of the unfortunate victim being molecularly dissolved. On to more certain topics, the M2016 Constitution is rumored to be entering production sometime in the future, or is at least planned to, in alignment with their scheduled annual distribution on Liberty Day. While we are aware of the existence of dark fluid and its role in the proposed destruction of Meridia, we have reason to believe that there are other anti-terminid super weapons to have at least some sort of relation to the increase in chemical weapons research and production, though most likely did not make it past drafting or prototyping. Onto the most notable of new Super Earth technology, the Emancipator exosuit is now in production due to the capture and reposing of our Petafactories into factories fueled by slave labor. The Emancipator is rather sturdy, especially compared to the prior Patriot mech, probably due to Super Earth stealing the frames of the Automatons we produced there, which used superior collective armor manufacturing techniques. The Emancipator is equipped with 4 autocannons in total, 2 on each arm. This mech is rather effective against our forces, but not effective against large terminids, which are more abundant on Meridia, therefore lessening their importance to the current order. A noteworthy property of the Emancipator is that it is airtight, and can safely be submerged for periods comparable to most combat engagements. Helldivers cannot currently equip more than one mech type. Due to the large amount of resources consumed by the mech, they require a lot of materials to be built and maintained, and the active operation storage can only hold one deployable vehicle currently. Not to mention that the bomber prototype we have seen rarely on the front is also very costly resource-wise, and requires similar materials in the construction of certain electronic components. We also have recovered partial schematics for some new Helldiver weapons, notably a new AR of some sort, presumably to be what the Adjudicator couldn't. And finally, there seems to be a civilian effort to aid in the destruction of Meridia via the manufacture of homemade firebombs, so-called Liberty cocktails, refitted to be dropped in Eagle napalm strikes, though throughout the Meridian assault, these waves of free stratagems have come and gone, and are likely not to appear soon unless something major happens. Regarding the currently disclosed information on our technology, we have some more experimental models, and some that have been improved on. We are producing more explodium ammunition, specifically focusing on rockets. Our scientists and engineers have developed an experimental adaptive camouflage cloak for our sharpshooter units, though of course all parts of our new units will have to go under extensive experimentation, training, and practice before a decision is made for them to see the front or not. As for a weaponry focus, for our sharpshooters we have a marksman rifle prototype, still in early stages of development, as well as an early experimental rail cannon turret for our tanks. And to add to all that, we have begun improving our battlefield tactics, notably with heavy devastators. Going forward, we will try to make use of their suppressive fire output capabilities and deploy them in teams that can effectively create a shield wall for slow advances. Onto the bounties, we have 3 new ones. But first let's update the status on the previous 3. Officer Road has an increased bounty, from 800 community credits to 1000 community credits on 83 accounts of murdering civilians, 6 accounts of usage of chemical weapons, and 8 accounts of sabotage. Road is still on the run and vacant for claim. Road was last seen on Varelia 5. Officer Smith, wanted for the murder of at least 12 civilians and the torture of 38. His bounty is 500 community credits, and is currently missing. It is possible someone is in the process of claiming his bounty, but we cannot say yet. Smith was last seen in the Emir sector. Officer Lyko, with a bounty of 500 community credits, has been claimed by Comrade Quasar. His acts of terror shall continue no more. One tyrant of an ever-growing bundle has been dealt with. Onto the new bounties. David Narfall has a bounty of 330 community credits, on 23 accounts of murdering civilians, and 5 accounts of murdering unarmed medical staff. He was last seen on Heath. Nicholas Ross has a bounty of 384 community credits on 1 account of mass genocide, 4 accounts of false surrender, and 2 accounts of torture. Ross was last seen on the planet of Haley's Port, supposedly investigating the increase in dissident activity. Our final target, Evelyn Waller, has a bounty of 688 community credits, on 2 accounts of mass genocide, 8 separate accounts of murder, and 2 final accounts of false surrender. Waller was last seen on Vernon Wells. We would also like to thank our brave comrades who volunteered on Meridia. We have lost 16,000 comrades who assisted in containing the Meridian biological hazard. The sacrifices of our comrades will not be in vain, as Meridia is no more.